of the AWF, call superstar, 11-time tag team champion of the world. This egotistical bastard is ready to shoot the shit as Shawn Walsh presents The Shawn Walsh Show, where there is no holds barred.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Shawn Walsh Show. We're here to shoot the shit and stir the pot. We're gonna make a cake, but you're not getting a piece. The whole cake's from me. But you are gonna get my guest today, Caleb Blair. Caleb Blair, friend of mine, from all the way back to 2009 to this very day as Cash, which you're going to hear me call him throughout the interview, because before Caleb Blair was even a thing, there was a call known as Kevin Cash. And back in those days, whatever your call name was what you were called. And unfortunately for me, that's the case. But Caleb Blair, Cash, whatever you want to call him, is here today. He's also in ECF as 2C3 Corey Chambers. He's also a very big part of the AWF as the Sandman, Brock Manson, the number one contender for the AWF Championship. Also, the voice of Christopher Wonder, one half of the AWF Tag Team Champions. In fact, he's one half of the Tag Team Champions, was my guest of last week, the All Stars Champion, AJ Young. Which is interesting. The tag team partners in one place, rivals in COH. It works though, because Caleb Blair isn't Christopher Wonder. Very different people. Caleb Blair, like I talked about, yes, we're going to talk about his COH career, whether it be the OBN, whether it be his feud with myself, and our thoughts on that, and his current feud with AJ Young. We dive into all of that. However, it's going to take a bit to get there, because how long Cash has been in Call Wrestling and how long me and him have known each other, there's a lot we have to talk about. We're going to get to COH. We're going to get to controversial opinions, which happen throughout the interview. There's no set place when they happen, but they are there. He does in fact respond to things that have been said about him in the past, but you can look forward to that a little bit later on. But besides all that fun stuff, we have me and Cash, Caleb Blair, whatever. We go back, we look at the old days of Call, we look at Call shows like ECW, which we both watched back in the day, before the revival of ECW, back in the day. And we talk about all that. We talk about his early uprisings in Call. We talk about our commentary. We talk about all the early shows we did, the DIW, GCW. Talk about his early shows like KWI and WCL and FSW. We dive into all of that. It's a very, very, very fun interview, especially for those who were around at the time, and those being like 2009 to about 2011. Because there's a lot of stuff there. But even if you weren't, you're going to be able to follow. Whereas maybe some in the past you may not have been able to follow. This you're really going to be able to follow. It's very easy, very fun stuff, and most of it is just me and Cash looking back at old Call shit. So it's very fun. good history lessons, good insight. So good that it ended up going 3 hours. Yes, you heard me correctly. 3 motherfucking hours. Me and him sat in a Skype call for 3 fucking hours and talked about call wrestling. That shows you how much we know about this thing. And we covered everything. However, I'm not going to put all 3 hours in this video. For the simple fact that I know you guys don't want to sit down for 3 hours and listen to it. And second of all, I am not rendering a 3-hour video. I don't even like doing that for the AWF, which is why you will very rarely ever see that. Unless it's a huge show. So that's just not going to happen. I'm going to split it up into 2 parts. Which I guess is great for you guys because you get this weekend 2 episodes of the Shawn Walsh Show. Caleb Blair Part 1 and Caleb Blair Part 2. So that's going to be very, very fun. Split it up. Listen to those parts. Good shit. But before we get to that, before we get to everything, recently on the Call All Stars YouTube channel, we had Call All Stars Presents the Finals. I'm very happy with how the event came out. We saw Bradley Reynolds versus CJ Hawkins. We saw Quicksilver versus Ben Hitman. The Quicksilver and Ben Hitman match, might I add, I am very happy how that match turned out. For me, that was my favorite match of the night. I felt it was just a perfect match. And it helped, it built on because of the rivalry between the two, but just how recorded the match was just so perfect. Everything made sense. And if you did not see the finals, you're going to have to like skip a minute. Okay? Okay. So, how many people were very excited to see Ray Geddes come out and get a little bit of revenge on Ben Hitman? Because I know there were some people who were mad. Oh, damn it. Ben Hitman screws him over. Oh, my God. Oh, well, guess what? Ray Geddes, he got his revenge. He came out there and he didn't even attack Ben Hitman. He didn't even lay a finger on Ben Hitman. He just rode his ass down to the ring and distracted Ben Hitman. Quicksilver picked up the pieces. And that was what he needed because Quicksilver went into the end and maybe with a little help from AJ Young. Was he aware? Was he not? Who knows what the truth is? But Quicksilver, the first ever Call All Stars champion, has won the Call All Stars tournament and will be going on to Call All Stars 7 to challenge for the Call All Stars championship. Now, I do address this at the finals. The fact that there is one more Call All Stars special that'll be taking place late June, early July, something like that. It's going to be Call All Stars Presents Redemption Road. Obviously, the name is taken from the Call All Stars Champion's finishing maneuver. AJ Young will be defending his Call All Stars Championship at that event. We also know Reaper X will be taking on Bradley Reynolds. And much more to be announced. Stay tuned to the Call All Stars Facebook page, the 200 officially liked Facebook page for Call All Stars. Thank you guys for all your support. Now, in regards to who AJ will defend, like I said, stay tuned to the Facebook page. Announcements will be coming. A lot of people being considered. So who's going to be the one to step up to the challenge and take on AJ Young? We shall see. Could it perhaps be my guest today, Caleb Blair? He is a former challenger for the Call-Search Championship. You never know. Gotta stay tuned to that Facebook page. But until then, let's go send it to part 1 of my interview with Caleb Blair. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are here, Shawn Walsh Show, and I am joined by the man who's been known by quite a few names over the years, most notably now known as Caleb Blair. I'm going to call him Cash, because that's what I know him as, just so you all know out there. But welcome to the show.
Oh, hello there. Good to be here. Good to be here on the Shawn Walsh Show. It's always fun.
Always fun. It seems about time.
It's about that time. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'm ready to answer all the tough questions, anything you got planned out, and such and such.
All right. Well, let's start it off with a very general but easy question. What call show got you into call wrestling? I know the answer to this, but let the viewers know.
Surprisingly, 2. Extreme Call Wrestling back in 2007, and way before that, No DQ. No DQ I actually came across on accident. And that was because a long time ago I was actually trying to find out how to make Jason Voorhees in Mortal Kombat Armageddon. And I came across a No DQ match that had Jason in it, and I was like, I really like this. And that's where I found all call, and really. Yeah.
And then you talk about how you watch DCW.
Oh yeah.
ECW, great show. Great show.
Great show. If you guys haven't checked out episode 2 yet, you need to. Shame on you for not looking at that yet. And that was actually a good show.
Oh yeah, and then I know you're just like the rest of us who are very excited that ECW's back and hoping they stick it out.
Well, they've been doing really good for what they've been doing for the past 6 years, and that's be dead. I mean, they got 2 episodes out in the span of 2 months. That's better than URWL in my opinion. No disrespect to them. So, they have a storyline going on with the main storyline being the DOA. Any theories or predictions on who you think's behind that? Honestly, I have no clue because I don't want to spoil anything on episode 2, but they kind of showed 3 figures, but they didn't show who they were. And it was like, I don't know who these guys could be. I thought it was going to be Metaphor at first. Thinking Metaphor and Adam Pulp were going to return, but it didn't look exactly like that situation. And right now they targeted at Raymond Zender on the last episode. They hit him with a limo. In episode 2, they do a lot more damage, and I'm just going to wait for everyone to tune into that and check that out.
Whoever it is, it's going to be... I'm expecting it to be something huge. We'll see what ECW has up their sleeve. But now let's go back into some of your earlier days in call wrestling, because some people may not know, but before Caleb Blair...
Yeah.
There was Kevin Cash.
Oh, yeah. Those were great memories.
Yeah, so back in I want to say 2008, 2009 time would be when the days of PWA, DIW, WCCW. So give us some of the newer call fans out there what call was like back in that era, and that little war that was going on with shows like TWA and WCCW and among other shows.
I remember that now. I called it the invasion of it was mostly a combination of Ustream feds and Daily Motion and the YouTube feds that really didn't get much attention because either they were webcam leagues, or B, it was just people saw them as 13-year-old kids trying to make a show. Kevin Cash, ironically, didn't get onto a show until CWA, which was owned by Shawn O'Connor. And that was a PSP fed as well. And to those who want to know how archaic this was, what feds like UWF and CWA and TWA did was they put their camera in front of like their PlayStation Portable or like their big ass screen TV, and it's degrading, really. But like we all started somewhere, and that shit AWF started like that. Fucking camera in front of a TV because we couldn't afford capture cards. Why? Because we were little ass kids. Shit, my first show was on was a literally laptop webcam in front of my PlayStation. We had this whole thing going on where one friend, our friend Yankee, owned TWA at the time. Another friend, Nathan Roberts, owned UWF. We had another guy who owned a show called WCCW. And we had another guy and we had Shawn O'Connor who owned CWA. All four of them were exchanging wrestlers back in the day. Stars who are considered legends to me. Brad Iceman Harris, who's one of my favorite heels of all time in CAW. Ice Dude, who's in AWF. Shawn O'Connor, obviously. Myself, Kevin Cash, who was only in 2 of those. Who am I forgetting? Reaper X. Anyway, all these guys, they were just like, and DJ Styles. All of them were just like exchanging back and forth to the point where I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Yankee and the guy who owned WCCW, his idea to do an invasion story where original characters were going to go into there and fight, and it turned into like a 4-brand war. And it was nuts. It was all over Ustream. It wasn't even on YouTube except for like a WCCW pay-per-view and a TWA pay-per-view and a UWF one. CWA had closed down and fused with TWA. And in the end, I think WCCW ended up winning, and that was the reason that being is because he was the only one with a capture card. So Reaper X went there, Harris went there. Ice Dude at one point won every belt, won all 4 world titles. He won. He was WCCW champion already. He won the UWF title from DJ Styles, who shouldn't have won that in the first fucking place. He won the TWA title from Reaper X, and he won the CWA title from fucking one of those guys that Shawn O'Connor had. I can't remember his fucking name, but he wasn't that important. But it was crazy. I loved being a part of it because I didn't do promos yet, obviously, but I made Shawn O'Connor, me and Shawn O'Connor help each other out a little bit with how should we go along with this, and then that's how I really became close friends with Yankee and Nathan Roberts, and then by extension, Shawn Walsh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you think an invasion storyline similar to that would work to the same effect today with the college shows of today?
It would depend, like, all 4, like, if they were to do, like, the 4 brands, that would be hectic, and that would be so many fucking storylines, and all 4 people who would be involved in that would have to be so in sync with each other. Like, Call All-Star, I had an idea for, Call All-Stars 3 originally, that I ended up, like, throwing away, because it just sounded so complicated, where we were gonna have, like, an invasion, like, it was going to be complete build-up of 4 different shows on the way up to Call All-Stars, and the idea I had planned out was KWI, AWF, CCL, and DIW, but that fell through immediately. And I didn't even propose it to Eddie. I was talking to Steven about it, the guy who owns DIW, and he was like, that's really hard to do, and I was like, you got a point there, let's scrap that. It would sound awesome if it was like 2 brands, like a double brand extension, but a lot of people have tried that, and it has worked, and at the times it hasn't worked. An example is the One Bully Nation angle in COH. Way back in the day, I used to watch YTCW. Way before I even knew Steve, Alex, Morris, Travis, I watched YTCW, and they did an invasion with what I found out was SWA. And then there's, I wouldn't count the AWF ACCE one, really.
Well, that was like a more inside the company war. Wasn't like outside.
Alright.
But like, hypothetically, if it could work with 4 shows, because that was what it was originally, what 4 shows do you think in 2015 would ideally be the shows that would have to be part of it?
Well, the first two that come to my mind are COH and AWF because they've had a Super Show before, and I loved it. If DIW was more active, I would say that would be the third one. But really, I would put ECF because they have ECF has a very good roster.
They do.
At first, when I first watched ECF, when I first started doing it, I was just like, I can't get into this. And then I started watching it more and more, and it's like, okay, I know what's going on here. It's because I didn't watch any of the past stuff. And then the fourth brand, that's a tough one. That's the toughie. If CCL was into it and weren't on their last legs this year, I'd say them. Maybe NJCW. I don't know how just because it's fantasy and I'd like to see fantasy interactive original. That's why I love mixed cough heads.
Okay, yeah. That'd be interesting though. It'd be interesting also for people if they have their ideas for call shows. Let us know. So we have that, and along the way, and you kind of talked about it a bit, but in 2009, a very big event was created called All Stars, and you, like me, was there in the beginning. So, what did you think at first when the idea was first presented to do a call All Stars for at the time it was for these smaller shows?
Let's see. At first, I didn't know what to do at first because I didn't even have a colleague. Shit, I didn't even have Kevin Cashmater on that time on the new game. I was a big fan of DIW, and I was a big fan of that because Nathan Roberts introduced me to Extreme Dan, the guy who made TCW, OMFG, DGW, whatever the fuck W league he had around that time, and he introduced me to Steven, and they were talking about, we're doing this multi-call league event. And that's really where I really got into the whole call owner's perspective, because I was like, oh my god, all these guys own shows. I want to do my own show. Hey guys, can I be involved? Do you have a show? Nope. And I was like, well, we'll think about it. And that's where I met you.
Yeah.
Because you were doing AWF, and I was like, what is this? And that's where I saw Ben Hitman for the first time. Matter of fact, as soon as I started the show, Ben Hitman was one of the first people I wanted on it. Mm-hmm. So I started doing commentary. I wanted to do commentary for most of the event because I love commentating. I've always done it since I was a little kid. I used to commentate over the fucking video game. So they had me commentate the YouTube Madness, and oh my god, I was so green, to use wrestling terms. I was such a newbie that I sounded like a 13-year-old watching actual wrestling. I sounded like a mark.
I remember that.
Oh, yeah. And I babbled. I didn't know half of the people. And now that I look back at it, I know who every person in that match was, and I feel really stupid. I had called Kamikaze a faggot. And I didn't know who the fuck Ben Hitman was.
Yeah, I know. I remember. I was like,
who the hell is that? Oh no, what have I done? I made a grave mistake. Yeah.
It was the first one, and it's really for a lot. It wasn't just you; it was the same for me. For a lot of us, though, that was our first getting to know all these other shows and these people.
Got me crazy.
Yeah, I was trying not to mention that. But
I actually had the file for the 6-man tag match that you, Ben, and Steven did, but I had to go to school that day, so I couldn't commentate. I had a night school thing going on.
Mm-hmm. But man, Call Stars, I was originally, just Steven wanted to do it because, the whole thing was Collision, I think it was. That was
Collision. That's what I was thinking. I was like, Call Stars came from something. Collision.
Yeah.
Collision was an SMF creation.
Mm-hmm.
SMF back in the... I knew about SMF and I really didn't care for it as much, but I saw that a friend of mine, James Thomas, I'll get into him later. God rest his soul. Had Johnson in one of the shows. And I started watching it. I was like, wow, this dude's commentary is fucking hysterical. And that's when I really started getting into it. And I saw he did this multi-league event, too, called Collision. Mm-hmm. And this is before I knew about Call All-Stars. And it was SMF. It was Wade Needham, which I loved, that Slam and Jam and No DQ were in it. Mm-hmm. And they had a couple of other feds which I'd never heard of. Ironically, that's where I met my other favorite show, ICCW.
Ah, yeah.
And it was an amazing event. It's one of my favorite events of all time was Collision 2. Next to that would be Oh My God, Mania from ICCW. But, it was such a well put together show, and I loved how the commentary transitioned into one another. And if that's anything, the first 2 Call All-Stars missed was the way that they interacted with each other. 3, 4, 5, and 6 have all done great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great because, while there were some great things at Collision, and there were some great shows in there, there were some real assholes in it.
Oh yeah.
And they were like, it's not like today where, for the most part, everyone's just kind of like, oh, it doesn't matter if I get 200 views or if you get 50 views, as long as you're cool, whatever. Back then, it was like, okay, it was like, we're these, like, everyone, they legitimately thought, like, oh, we're the mainstream shows. We're the WWEs, we're the WCWs,
There was a fucking forum called Call Mainstream.
Yeah. And they were like, it's because of the views they got, because of how known they were, for Call, they were so full of themselves. And because shows like us weren't getting the views that they were, and how could we? We were so new.
Small.
Yeah, it was impossible. And because we were so small, instead of being nice and helping us out and like, oh yeah, you come on, it's no big deal, they would just not have us on there. And thank God, Steven decided to create Call All-Stars, because you look at it now,
Collision's gone.
Yeah, Collision's gone. And a lot of the people from those that did the show, and a lot of those assholes aren't around anymore. And
if they are, they're not really doing anything big.
Yeah.
New WWE is still around. Jeremax is still around. I don't consider Jericho an asshole.
No,
because he does stuff for New Legacy.
Right.
Burb on the other hand was a vindictive fucking bitch. I don't care if it's a man or a woman, but I met her. Oh man, oh god, this is gonna make me go into the Call Wikia thing. Oh boy. Okay.
Call Wikia, Jesus.
Call Wikia is the biggest hunk of shit to ever be created on the internet from this shit.
Yep.
Because I've never seen so many people get so butthurt over a fucking Wikia page made for a fictional character in my life. These guys got so mad. Okay, there's an article of Ben Hitman that got ruined. An article of Shawn O'Connor which got deleted. Mm-hmm. Kevin Cash's, TJ Profits, all of these pages for decent workers all got ruined. All got destroyed because they didn't come from their minds. Matter of fact, Shawn O'Connor's page got turned into Suspects.
Yeah. And then
I think it was Suspect.
Remember what they would do too is, you know how like they would put these like the pages into like these groups, and like you could click on it, and there was a page like call like failures or
call failures or unoriginal cause or shitty cause. It's just like wow.
And you would just add them to there, and I'm like,
what? It's like okay, hold on. Let's look at a guy like TJ Profit. This guy has a pretty original look to himself. Yeah, at first he looked like CM Punk, but you know who looked like CM Punk when he first debuted as well? Danny Jackpot.
Mm-hmm.
Danny Jackpot doesn't look like him anymore, but neither does TJ Profit. What makes Profit different from Jackpot? Jackpot had a bigger following by these idiots. That's what it was.
Yeah, he had a huge following.
Danny, he kind of fell off the face of the earth though. He was literally the John Cena of CAW. It was like Jackpot wins, LOL. People got so pissed when he won WEDF's Royal Rumble.
Oh my god, yeah. I remember that shitstorm.
Yeah, that was 2011. I think it was, but I can't remember.
Yeah. Let's see. When we were talking about Call All Stars was the first one, and I wasn't going to touch upon it, but you said that you were going to talk about it, so I'll let you say what you want. It's up to you. But on that show was one of the last times that we did hear James Thomas on commentary for FOW. Do you have any memories of FOW? Because a lot of people today don't know of FOW, which is a shame.
I have a lot of memories of James in general.
He's a great guy.
He was fucking fantastic. I knew him for like the better half of a year, and I only knew him for like the last like couple of months of his life. He was he was really chill. He was really mellow. He had a really kick-ass show. He did his show on Legends of WrestleMania, and it came out fucking incredible. Okay. Johnson came from there. Evan Rockville came from there. Priceless Perkins. He had Mr. Clean as one of his champions at one point. Roy DiMaschino. He had a very talented roster. Very original as well.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, the NWO and Mafia angle was one of my favorites, even though it never got concluded. James, I met him during Call All Stars, and he was like really weird. Way back in the day, Steven used to be out of his shell more because him and James were like really close, and so was him and Dan. Mm-hmm. When James passed away, Steven got really quiet and really distant, and Dan got really weird. But FOW, I actually was going to commentate an episode of FOW that never got put up. And I remember the main event was Rage versus Johnson, and Johnson was supposed to win, and it was going to be number one contender for the FOW title, which Mr. Clean held because he beat Shawn Michaels for it. FOW was a really good show. I liked their Call All Stars match with Evan Rockville and Smokey. It's the first ever match.
It's forever going to be remembered just for that alone.
Yeah. The commentary was good. James was a young kid. He was like 14 when he passed away. He
was 14.
He was my age.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually going to turn 15 when he died.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
Ironically, he introduced me to you.
Yeah, he did.
So that's what I remember. That's what I remember the most.
And that's the thing. Like, in the end, James had a really great show. And the thing is, he was, man, there was like this. You couldn't think of a better guy. Like, he was liked by everyone. Like, the guys, even though like those mainstream call shows they called themselves, even though he maybe didn't get as much view, he was still loved by those guys, and he was still loved by our group of people, I guess you could say. And he was just great.
Matter of fact, the original This Is Call commercials way back in the day, I think to this day still have FOW clips in it.
Yeah, and I'm glad it does.
Yeah, I'm glad it does too, because they were, like I said, they were the only league that did Legends of WrestleMania and made it look really good. They also used SVR 09 and SVR 2010 for a hot second. Mm-hmm. But it was well put together. He was known by CCL. He was known by the SMF forums, which I call all the trolls and the assholes, and it's where they were. That was the only match they said was not. They literally posted the Call All Stars page, the whole first show on the forums and made fun of it because it was they called it a Claw Illusion ripoff.
Yeah.
But they said the only match that saved it was Rockville versus Smokey.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing. It was because, and yeah, it was Smokey winning, but it was because of James. Like you couldn't say bad thing about the guy. I mean, I remember you saying you were going to commentate for FOW. I remember he was going to be the guy to give me the first opportunity because I was the ring announce for FOW.
Oh yeah.
I was unqualified as fuck to do that. Like, there's no way. Like, me doing that would have been like Christian Gary when he announced for Call All Stars 4. Like, it would have been like that. And, but he was like, oh, you know what? go ahead, I'll let you do it. He's going to give me the chance. And I'm like, and he didn't even really know me for that long. He only knew me for a short time, and he's going to give me that. And it's a shame because you can't go back and look at the old shows because they're all gone.
Yeah, the whole channel got the channel was actually, I think the channel closed down. I think the day after he died, and it was closed down by his friend.
I remember though it was closed earlier in the week though, at first time, because that's when because that's when you could reopen your channels. But when you would reopen it, all your videos would be gone.
Oh yeah. So. And then it was very unfortunate. He was a hard guy. It's hard to really find a person that was like James. But if anybody had like the same personality as him to this day, I would have to compare Goonie to James because Goonies is just as chill as James was.
Yeah.
And he was very open to everything, and it was so cool. It's a shame though that he passed away before DIW Brawl Mania and Call All Stars both went up.
Man, I really wish, I wish he was, obviously I wish he was still here, but I really wish he got to see, like, all that happened after him. Because there's so much that happened that he would have been great if he was part of, and he would have had no problem doing it, but it's unfortunate, and I'm glad though, you were talking about Evan Rockville, that's the reason why I have Evan Rockville in AWF today, to live it on. DIW had Johnson, and we hopefully
and Roy DeMachino. So we live on the memories of it, and hopefully somehow, some way, because episodes were supposed to come out, like one of his friends was supposed to air them again and air WrestleMania, but that never happened. Yeah.
It's a shame, but rest in peace, James. Let's switch from this sadder topic. Let's get to more fun stuff. Then with your experience with call shows, you started off with WCL.
Yeah.
Now, I know what you're thinking. But
before you even start on this topic, let me just let the elephant out of the room here. I suck at keeping up with my own fucking show. I can help anyone else with an idea of what to do with their fucking show. I can't keep them to myself. Therefore, my show is always. So, what? All right, explain WCL, because at first it was like you said you did it with, the webcam, but then you did get it to go to capture card. I think it was Dazzle I had. I had the Dazzle DVD recorder I got for free in the mail for writing a fan letter to Pinnacle Studios. It was really cool that they did that too. It was right around Christmas. WCL was originally on SVR 09, and it was a mix of original, fantasy, and actual WWE guys, like every 14-year-old's first call show. Mm-hmm. I had X-Pac on the show, fucking Shawn Michaels, not Mr. Clean. I didn't have Mr. Clean. I had the Tourette's guy on there for a minute. I don't remember most of my roster because I never really aired any of it, and the camera quality was so shitty that it was just awful. Matter of fact, when I got my capture card, I scrapped most of those people, and I just grabbed and came up with people. Most of those people I got came from the cause.ws webpage, where people posted formulas. That's archaic as fuck saying that, but back in the day, guys, you had to do that. Fucking new people coming in thinking, oh, just upload my guy on PSN with a bunch of people.
We didn't have those perks back then.
No, we didn't have that shit, bro. We had the fucking morph something out of a WWE logo.
Yeah, back in our day, there was a call.ws.
I think it's still up, but it's got a bunch of they have a page called PSN tags. Mm-hmm. Or Xbox Live tags. It's like, whoa.
It's like, back then, it wasn't like that. It's weird how things change.
It's so spooky. I feel really old.
Same.
I feel really fucking old. I started doing this shit when I was 14, and I'm going to be 21 this year. Oh my god. Anyway, I started WCL, and I originally started doing countdown videos, and I had a lot of people marking the fuck out for those. And because it was new people, it was like, oh, these people are really interesting. I have people with ridiculous ass names, though. Epic Ball is one of my epic failures. Pun intended. That guy was in CCL Revolution, second guy eliminated, he was boring, he was generic, and I did not know what to fucking do with him. And I am sorry, Eddie, that you had to put up with that. Who else who else stayed? Casey Jones from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles stayed around for the longest time with me. And I don't know why people liked him.
Yeah,
I just kept him as a filler mid-card guy. I had Bart Simpson in there too.
Mm-hmm.
He never had a match. Later on, I turned WCL into KWI because I wanted to do something new and fresh.
I really like
2011. KWI, I think, was my favorite of all the incarnations. Next to FSW. Because I actually had a lot of shit wrote down and a lot of shit recorded for KWI, and the reason why that didn't go up is because my computer crashed. My computer that had every single file crashed. I had every storyline written down, and KWI was only supposed to run one season, and then I was just going to stick to being a commentator for DIW. And the way KWI was supposed to go down was there was a storyline where the guy who owned it basically knew that this company sucked and was going to burn it to the ground, literally. Well, it didn't turn out to be literal. At first, it was like figurative. He was just going to destroy the company. And it was him, King AJO, who I really wish was still around, and a couple of other people that were just my creations. Matthew Spader, who then became my John Cena after being a heel for so long, tried fighting for the company's rights. They had him and King AJO had a match for the title. And how it was supposed to end was if AGO won, KWI died. If Matthew Spader won, KWI lived. AJO won, and then Marco Martin was supposed to burn the whole building down to the ground. I didn't know how that was going to work out. I mean, shit, I got a way to get Ben Hitman blown up by a rocket launcher, okay? Yeah. I could do that somehow. Those who don't know what I'm talking about, a long time ago, I recorded a theme from Saints Row, and I made a guy who looked like Ben Gigana, and I had somebody in a car, and I made it look like I blasted him with a rocket launcher. Ben Hitman and Gigana actually have the most matches that I've ever recorded.
They had quite the feud.
Oh yeah, quite the feud, long ass feud, and I'm glad it's over because it was getting ridiculous.
Just kept happening.
Just kept happening. Either, Gigana was whooping his ass, Ben Hitman came back at the end, LOL.
Yeah. That's just how it went. Now, one thing, especially people that have known me and you for all these years will always remember is not particularly what we did in our call shows, but what we did for commentary, and that's in DIW. And then also in GCW as well, but most notably DIW. Man, tell everyone like how DIW looks. So DIW is epic. And then
DIW at first was one brand, and it was just Steven doing commentary with his friend, who I'll just call Shane because that was the name of his character in the show.
Yeah.
Shane left. He went to college, so it was just Steven on his own. And then Dan was like, "I'll do commentary with you," and then Steven was like, "Okay, cool, you can do this other brand." He's like, "Wait, I wanted to commentate with you, though." And he's like, "Oh, well, we can find 2 other people to do commentary." Who are those 2 people that were supposed to do commentary in FOW? Oh, you talking about Soccer 105 and WCL? Yeah. Okay, let's get them. So I was like, alright, we'll do it. Okay. And me and Soccer had no idea what the fuck to do for commentary.
Oh, shit. Like,
literally, the first episode of Dungeon for Season 2, we babbled.
It was so bad. It was, like, it's funny now to look back and look at it, but like when you see what we can do now and you look at that, it's like, are these the same people?
It's when you think about how the way we talk to each other, it was the same. It's still the same people. Like at first I was heel and you were face.
Yeah, because that's weird. 'Cause like a lot of people that would be really confused by that, but that's how the original thing was. It was always I was the play-by-play. It was Face.
You were Philip Ontario before Philip Ontario.
Yeah. And then you were the heel. Boy, did things change.
Yeah, things changed, I think, around after that season. Because that's when you really started. It was actually on the road to Brawlmania because of Lubu.
Yeah, because I remember, like...
We're hypocrites for fucking Lubu.
Oh my god, yeah.
I fucking was a mark for him, and so were you, and then I don't know what the fuck. Lubu started winning out of fucking nowhere. This guy was a jobber in DIW. I can find 3 videos of him getting his ass beat right now if I wanted to. Like, his first match was against Hayes, and he got the fuck beat out of him. And then he had a match against Quicksilver, and the whole time Dan was marking out for him. That's really what started everyone liking Lubu. In 2010, when SVR 2010 came out, Steven started doing DIW countdowns, and Lubu looked awesome.
Yeah.
He didn't look like the guy who had the Zack Ryder theme with the fucking karate jacket on, dancing with the fucking, looked like disco pants on. This guy looked like a fucking ninja. And he looked evil, in my opinion. And he just got this big following from a lot of people, and it was just like, oh my god, Lubu, he won the Intercontinental title! And then he just became Super Lubu.
Yeah.
He beat everybody.
He beat everyone, and I know Steven hates that it ended up that way.
He started it, because his first big win was against Roy DeMachino.
Yeah.
And he started it.
It's his fault. But man, I remember, like, I just went, and because people liked him, I turned heel because of the whole, Justin Sparks storyline. It was so easy, and I was so racist during it, and... you were so racist, but that's what made you a better heel, was the racial thing. Yeah.
And that carried on the different feds.
It did, because then once we did that, everyone wanted me and you to do shows, because when we do commentary, even to this day, still that same chemistry.
Yes, I don't know how. I guess it's just, it's there. GCW was another example of how we just kept it going there. Especially during the Rumble matches.
Oh, those are fun.
Yankee had a fetish for Royal Rumble matches. And, whenever, like, if he had the time skip, he would time skip all the way to the Rumble match, just so me and Sako could commentate it.
Yep.
Because it didn't matter who the fuck came out next, we were making fun of him.
Mm-hmm.
Perfecto. Oh my
Oh.
god. I just thought of Perfecto.
Oh, that was...
would you consider Curtis Axel Perfecto?
Curtis Axel isn't that bad. Perfecto was pretty bad.
You know. Yeah, well, Perfecto Mania is running wild. But I still consider you my favorite commentary partner next to Steven. And the only reason why I like commentating with Steven is because Steven wouldn't care what I said, because he would just go along with it. He did that with Dan a lot. For instance, go back and watch an episode of DIW back from season 2 of Call Is War, and count every time that Dan has murdered J-O-Matic.
Oh my god, yeah.
Chainsaws, pouring acid on him, shooting him, stabbing him, fucking dumping boiling water on him, they led the matches too, like, literally the commentators fought each other at pay-per-views.
Yeah, you fought J-O-Matic.
I fought J-O-Matic, and I won, and I took his girl. It was so fucking ridiculous. And Dan kidnapped an old man and fucking drove into a gas station and blew him up.
People gotta be...
Dan won the fucking DIW championship.
Yeah. That's insane. Like, just imagine that. Like, think about it from today. If, like, Oliver Spinebreaker all of a sudden became, like, this big heel and won a title. How ridiculous that sounds. But that happened in DIW.
I can just imagine Travis screaming, "I'm world champion!"
Like, literally, a fair comparison would be if Oliver Spinebreaker joined the Accurate Enterprise and was the world champion. That's the comparison of what it was then.
The sad part is that he's totally true right there.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was like.
He joined the Ministry of Perfection, the MOP.
The MOP. Oh man, the Ministry of Perfection is one of my favorite stables. They're not underrated, but they were my favorite. They could have been better. They fucked up like around the end of season 2 when they included Mason Chronic and Nathan Slash.
Yeah, that
And Vega.
bad.
Vega was the beginning, because when they added Vega, it was like, okay, where are they going with this? Because they got GMB and Daniel Brown not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then GMB turned face, which ruined his career. Well, sort of.
Yeah. It was a classic example of, like, you add too many people to the group and it just ruins it.
Too many cooks. Don't look at that.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Ministry of Perfection. That was, let me ask a question, a general question here. Was there any call angles in any call show, past, present, that you just thought was the worst angle ever? Just terrible. You just hated it.
I hated it? Oh, man. I didn't like the SMF invasion in ICCW. The reason that being is because around this time New Legacy started being around. And when New Legacy first came around, they were just, a group of trolls. They made fun of call shows. Matter of fact, UMAD is is the reason why they became famous. They did an episode of SMF. It was SMF's Great American Bash, or whatever. This is when SMF started becoming a piece of shit.
Yeah.
They were not paying attention. They were being lazy. Their storylines were awful. He wasn't even watching WWE at the time. Mm-hmm. So his comedy was dry. But, fuck, what happened? Anyway, ICCW, the guy who owned that, had a really big problem with the guy who owned SMF around this time. So what he did was, behind the guy who owned SMF's back, he took a bunch of SMF characters and put them in his show, and they pretty much took over an entire ICCW storyline. And they didn't even get to the pay-per-view, because they did a go-home show to the other pay-per-view, and that never even came out. And they were supposed to have an electrified elimination chamber match, which I would have loved to fucking see. Wink wink at whoever owns it if he ever comes back, which I doubt he will. I would have loved to seen that match. SpongeBob was fucking in it, I think. Yeah, this is when SMF brought SpongeBob in.
Uh-huh.
That's what I remember the most. And he was heel. And then this is when the Jello. Oh, I didn't like the Jello Nation. That's what it was. I don't know if you ever watched SMF or knew what the fuck the Jello Nation was.
I don't remember the Jello Nation, but I watched
it. It was when Bill Cosby was either commissioner or GM of SMF, and he had, and his stable, he had Colonel Sanders, Willy Wonka, and like two other people. I think one of them might have been SpongeBob. But they came in and they were doing something. It was basically leading up to the Bill Cosby versus Chuck Norris match at Bitchamania.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a match.
Yeah, that was. I remember that.
Yeah, that's what it led to. And Chuck Norris, on Chuck Norris's side, he had Mr. Feeney, he had Ronald McDonald. Oh, the Burger King was on the other side, yeah. And Ronald McDonald was on it for like a hot second, then he turned face.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what it led to. But I didn't like that storyline at all. It gave me a headache. There was another storyline I really didn't like. And I think it was an AWF.
Oh, jeez.
I can't remember. It was like a long time ago. It was like right before AWF started even getting better. I think it might have been Evan Rockville's first storyline.
Evan Rockville, his first storyline, well, he came in, and he won the title, and then he fought Ben Hitman because he won the tournament, and then his first main storyline was Danny Hardy.
Oh no, it was before any of them. It was like when he first won the title.
He fought Skywalker.
It was with the NWO. I didn't like the NWO angle. That's what it was.
I don't either. I hate it. There's a reason why, if you notice, if you can...
Spider-Man.
If the whatever episodes are still there from that time, you'll notice by like episode I think 6, if it even made it that I don't even think it made it that far, I scrapped the whole thing.
Yeah.
It was a dumb idea.
You had a couple of I'm glad you fixed everyone that you did keep that was a WWE blatant ripoff. and you change them. Ben Hitman, Texas Black, who looked like fucking Undertaker from 1993 at first.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, you at least you were able to turn something into gold.
Yeah, I changed it up. So I had to.
You didn't pull a DWF and kept the same guy stagnant for years.
Mm-hmm.
And the only person I'm really gonna give them shit about is the way TGO is. Which I don't blame, because I think DWF disappoints me. I have no disrespect to you, because I know DWF is one of your favorite shows, or is your favorite show.
It is my favorite show.
It disappointed me because they just quit, like me, and I guess that's the reason why, is because I quit too like that, and I was just like, oh, fuck, they're doing it too. They're pulling a cash. They're pulling an FSW, they're quitting and going on hiatus for a year and a half. They're gonna come back with like 3 shows and a CPV, and they're gonna fucking give up because he ran out of storyline ideas.
He's notorious for that. He likes to just give up, but...
Consider me the white DJ Wentworth then.
But we're gonna fast forward a bit. You decided, well, these news shows came out, these CWSs, these COHs, and as Adam, when I talked to him, he deemed it the shoot shows. Like, they're original shows, but it wasn't like what, like, say, DIW was. And,
yeah.
And, it was a new thing where everyone had a different voice. Everyone characters were actual people.
Yeah, everyone had was entitled to their own, brought in their own character, and really that's what brought in this whole bigger network that we have now. It's like all these people, it's like, oh, I bring in this one guy. It's like, okay, and then there's a league with 50 people. Every person is controlled at least by one person. So it's like, wow, it's a whole big fucking community. When back in the day it was one guy and he had to pop out 30 fucking people out of his brain.
Yeah, people don't understand how hard that is. People
That's where shit calls come from
yeah.
Burning out, from coming up with ideas. I would get tired making a fucking person at points.
Yeah, people they'll take, I see some people today who don't understand, they'll take knocks to say, cause for me, I got a question on Ask FM not too long ago, they're like, oh, why isn't your show COH? Why do you have,
I've seen that.
And I'm first of all, not every show has to be COH. Second of all, my show, the way I did it before was, I create the cause, and you guys, for your newer viewers, and you guys don't even understand, it's not too hard to come up with one character. But when you gotta have to come up with a whole roster of 30 to 50 people...
And cut their promos... And write their promos, because back in the day we had to use text-based. Mm-hmm. And this was even before fucking Story Designer came out. Yeah. Back in 2009, you had to use Windows Movie Maker to make the fucking text show up at the bottom of the screen. You had to record a person just standing there in the middle of the ring for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So you made sure you got all that dialogue and you had to edit it all together. And it all came from your fucking noodle. It was just oh.
And then I hate how people are oh, just get rid of them. Their call's different. I'm sorry, but I put all that, and I know you see it the same way, if I'm putting all that work into making that character and making that character important and putting all this work, I don't want to get rid of that character.
And honestly, if everyone were to resort to that model that COH and YWF and CWS do, there would hardly be any shows around because there's not a lot of people. I mean, every show would have the same roster on it, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. And that's why some of these new shows don't work out, because it's just another COH, and then because it's not COH, it ends up being bad. I remember months ago...
Justin Collins,
a prime example of that. But I remember a few months ago, I was talking with Andrew, and he wanted to bring everyone in the ECF. He wanted to bring all the names that made it in COH and YWF and do all that, and basically put all his own guys to the bottom and make the whole thing about them. And I told him, you can bring some people in, but don't bring everyone in. ECF shouldn't become COH 2.0.
Yeah.
Keep your guys, if you want to bring some people in, that's fine, but don't bring the whole COH roster, because then CAW is one thing, and then it's unoriginal.
Yeah. At least YWF what these shows do that though, they seem to make it into their own. YWF is a prime example. They're like WWE. I compare them to that. Because they'll bring in somebody and give them a whole fucking different gimmick, a whole different name, whole different storyline, and I fucking loved it. That's why I joined YWF. I don't know if they're ever gonna fucking make another show again. I'd like to, because I had one fucking promo. I like the Michael Crowley character. Marco liked the Michael Crowley character. CWS, they made their own. And they made their own stars, too. They kept people who only were on that show and made them their own stars. Controversial as it sounds, Vaughn Hollywood. Mm-hmm. Big fucking star in CWS. Went to COH. Fizzled out.
Yeah.
Nathan Roberts, I would say, after he was gone from all the webcam leagues and all the other leagues that he was in, he just went to straight up CWS, and he was made into his own. He won the U.S. title there 5 times. I'm not lying.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Me and Sacco originally CWS guys, but we weren't really that big. I mean, we were, but at the same time, we weren't like good enough.
Yeah. We weren't like the top. Well, although you eventually did get a shot at the world title, and you feuded with Neith Hinton. So.
Oh yeah.
You were getting there. I mean, and one thing, and I'll stop there. One thing, because you kind of talked about is with CWS. What are your thoughts? Because I know you have some interest in us, as I do, on how CWS went, and most importantly, how our feud was, because a lot of people to this day will remember our feud from CWS, which I wish we could have done more with.
But honestly, when we took that feud to COH, it kind of got stagnant really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, I feel like that we should have just had the closure be in CWS had we like stayed a little longer, had Nate actually kept the show going a little bit longer.
If the show stayed longer, if like it actually finished that season and went to WrestleMania, we could have easily had it. I know at least there was, depending on whatever Nate felt that day, because Nate sometimes told oh, you're going to win Money in the Bank. Oh no, you're going to do this. Oh, you're going to do this. At some points it was supposed to be, oh, me and you were supposed to continue the feud. Some points it wasn't, and
yeah, at points I didn't know what the hell was going on.
Alright, now, after me and you feuded, there were, if I can remember correctly, you were fired or something, and then you were brought back, and you feuded with Neith Hinton.
Yeah, I think I left.
That's right.
Quite honestly, I don't remember a lot of the stuff from the past because it was a long time ago. But I think I did leave. I think I was unhappy with something. I think it was over some childish bullshit. Mm-hmm. And I left, and I messaged Nate like I think 3 months later, and was like, "Hey, mind if I come back?" Because I think we like got over it. And it was that petty. And it was like 3 months later, and it was like, yeah. He was like, yeah, sure, you can come back. And he was like, yeah, and then him and AJ added me on a call. That's what it was. Mm-hmm. And they said, hey, we got an idea for you if you're willing to come back to CWS. And I was like, what is it? We're going to have you return. You're going to do a return vignette. And no one's going to know when you're going to return. And you're going to be Mr. Carter's hitman to take out the big three. Mm-hmm. And you're going to fight Neith Hinton at World War. And I was like, awesome. He didn't tell me if I was going to win the title or not. Matter of fact, I probably knew I wasn't going to win the title in the first place because it's Neith Hinton, on the fact that it's Neith Hinton. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. And I cut like the best fucking edited vignette I've ever made. That's when I started using Drag You Down. That's when I started using that song I first came into COH with. Mm-hmm. And I started doing the hockey mask.
Yeah.
I got that. It was like inspired from really a mix of Jason Voorhees meets like fucking. I don't want to say the Purge, but like the Warriors, I guess. Mm-hmm. And people that came out with the masks on and shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a riot person.
Yeah, we fought, over the time I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen, because at one point I think you were supposed to cost me the title match and we were gonna fight at WrestleMania, or, I was gonna lose, and then I was gonna lose in the Battle Royal, and I was gonna feud with Sabsis at No Mercy,
Well,
and it kept on changing.
It kept changing, and again, it's the whole thing of CWS constantly changing. There were points where you were gonna fight Sabsis, there was a point where, at least I
Matter of
remember,
fact, there was a point where I was gonna win Money in the Bank,
yeah,
and you were gonna win Money in the Bank.
everyone was going to win Money in the Bank in CWS. The one I remember is you were supposed to have a rematch with Neath at, I think it was No Mercy, but then the weeks after, it seemed they were building towards Neath and Nathan Roberts, and then you decided to leave CWS.
Yeah, I messaged Nate about that. I said, hey, I'm like in a shit. This is when I started going, like, when everyone was going, hey, this is when Caleb Blair started becoming a little bit more popular on COH.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was like, hey, did you want to be in my show? Do you want to be in my show? And next thing I knew, I was saying yes to like fucking 5 people. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I was like, I gotta do shows where, like, I can't really do serious promos on. Like, I have these shows doing smaller gimmicks, which means I was going to stop doing the Caleb Blair gimmick in CWS, and I wanted to return as Kevin Cash, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But I never got around time to do that. And then me and Nate, just quit talking to each other.
Yeah, and then CWS closed shop, so...
Yeah, and I did not want to go back to WCW. I wasn't even asked, but I would have declined because I'm in too many shows.
Mm-hmm. Now, we're going to take a break from Caleb Blair. We're going to come back to Caleb Blair in COH, but we're going to go to one of your other ventures, one of your other characters, and that being one of my favorites, Brock Manson.
Ah, yeah, I love Brock Manson.
Brock Manson, first of all, is just a badass.
I would describe Brock Manson, originally supposed to be like a Hitman character, as a mix of like this fucking, movie star. Fuck. You ever seen Ving Rhames in, what was it, Night of the Living Dead or Dawn of the Dead? One of those movies. The badass black guy. Kind of like a really, really gruff Jax from Mortal Kombat.
Mm-hmm. Now, Brock Manson, before he even came to AWF, because he's one of your creations, he was, if I remember correctly, he was in a tag team with Adam Paul Anderson. Is that right?
Yeah. Manson was originally part of this team I originally called the Philadelphia Wrecking Crew. It was him and Adam Anderson, and they were bikers. Yes, bikers, yeah, I know. And they both of them had the Undertaker motorcycle entrance. I made them on Raw too. Mm-hmm. Go figure. But, I was always hoping one of these days there'd ever be they do the LOD entrance where they both came out in the motorcycles in a game, so I could give that to them. Cause if that would ever happen, I would literally bring them back together. Just to bring it to life, however, I just kept them on my shows. I never really recorded anything with them, because by the time I started doing that, I totally completely forgot about both of them. Matter of fact, I didn't bring Manson back until 2010, when KWI came back. And the only reason why I did that is because I had recently bought UFC Undisputed 09. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna make an MMA character. Who should I make? Who do I know that has an MMA gimmick? And I was like, Brock Manson does. I forgot about that. And how I knew that is because in a boxing game I made Brock Manson. That's literally where he came from. And so did Adam Anderson. And so that was Brock Manson's story. I was like, okay, I can suit him up a boxer gimmick then and ship him out. And then that's when he first came into AWF.
Yes. And he came into NXT.
Yeah, NXT, because you needed somebody. And honestly, I wasn't thinking at the time. I was like, okay, Brock Manson's easy to make. I'll give him that. Give him the Socko. And I don't know why. Manson got really over.
Yeah, Manson got really over. And because I remember when I saw the 8 people I had for NXT, I already kind of had it thought out how the show was going to go. I already alright, either Mason Chronic's going to probably win, and if it's not him, it's going to be Steven Viper, or even
Tommy Ryan.
Tommy Ryan had a chance, and then
Mystic.
Mystic, that's who I'm thinking of. Mystic, I was like, Brock Manson, I always saw as like, okay, he's going to make it to like top 5, and then he's going to get eliminated. But Brock Manson, he really got over. A lot of people liked him. A lot of people, and maybe part had to do with that his pro was Shawn O'Connor.
Yeah, that, and he just went undefeated. He knocked everybody out. The knockout punch was a big move back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Shawn O'Connor, yes, indeed. Shawn O'Connor, who honestly, him and Mystic, by the way, both of them, if they were still here today, I honestly think would do good in shows like COH, CCL, and YWF, or such. Mystic, I think, is still around, but he doesn't really do anything. He does Xbox Live. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Shawn O'Connor. And the whole thing was Shawn O'Connor did not like Brock Manson.
No, not at all.
It was because Manson was... I want to say it was because Manson was black just to fuck around. I don't know why, man. Manson didn't like Shawn O'Connor. That's what it was. It was kind of like the whole Darren Young CM Punk thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Manson got really pissed off, and when Manson won, he knocked out Shawn O'Connor.
That was great. I remember putting that together, and it was so perfect. It made so much sense to finally have Manson knock out Shawn O'Connor. Just a way to, besides the fact that he won NXT, but to finally introduce that he's now in the AWF and he just knocked out Shawn O'Connor. It was perfect.
I think Manson ended Shawn O'Connor's career in AWF, didn't he? He had his last match at Carnage.
I can't remember if it was his last CPV match. That I know for a fact. If he did compete, he might have had another Uprising or match or two, but it was definitely his last CPV match. And Shawn O'Connor was then on his way out, and my AWF and Shawn O'Connor parted ways. But that was his last program, was Brock Manson, in which they had that epic match at Carnage that I still to this day love. And then Brock Manson got really over in that match, and they just kicked each other's ass in that match.
Yeah, and then around that time, Manson was just floating around. No one really knew what to do with him yet because there were so many storylines, and this was the beginning, I believe, the ACCE stuff or the Kings of Cost stuff was going around. I don't remember which.
Yeah, they were.
It was the Revolution. The Revolution. That's what it was.
There was a lot going on, and whether it be the Revolution getting started, whether it be the Kings of Caw, and Brock Manson, while he still had that that big win over Shawn O'Connor, and while he still had NXT, after that, he was just kind of, like you said, he was just kind of there, because it wasn't that there was anything wrong, it's just everyone else was doing something. And
he was competing in like 6-man tags and fighting jobbers. And then you had me do that promo where he just was like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Fuck it. I'm going to go team up with the Revolution. Or like, no, he didn't say that yet. He said maybe they have the right idea going on. And he said, and that's when, I think that's when that's when ACCE came back and he went to Superstar Mayhem.
Mm-hmm. Because my idea behind it was Manson needed something to do. And yeah, I could have done the whole, because Manson was face, but he wasn't really doing anything. And for the Revolution, I really wanted the Revolution because this is when I started to really implement the whole other characters and other people voicing their own characters in AWF. And to put them together, it made sense with NWO, with AJ, to put Brock Manson in there and to put him as that muscle. It made perfect sense to turn him heel and to join. He was just a perfect piece of that puzzle, and then add an Ice Dude to it.
Yeah, Ice Dude really fucking made it great.
Ice Dude made that group legitimate because NWO, he was the loudmouth, but he was saying a lot of shit, but he was still new. AJ, he's been in other places, but he was still new to AWF. And Brock Manson, same same case, Ice Dude, who's been there before, and Ice Dude, multiple-time World Heavyweight Champion, and then once he joined and won the World title, which I still to this day think's the best idea that I gave Ice Dude the title, it made that group like, alright, we gotta take notice.
Yeah, and really they did cause a lot of damage. I mean, I think at one point, though, Manson, I think, was going to win the tag team titles.
Yes, because like NXT and WWE, there was if you won NXT, you got some kind of prize, and it was a title match. And Brock Manson, the original idea was that, because this was before I had any plans to bring Brock Manson to the main event that early. I had everyone else set up, and I'm like, well, I have this title shot. Well, I have Nathan Vaz, who's also in the show. I'll just have him join the Revolution. And Nathan Vaz, if people don't know, is another character of NWO. And I would have them win the tag team titles. But honestly, that idea sucked. And what came of it was so much better.
Yeah. When he cashed in and won the ACC title at CyberSlam.
At CyberSlam.
At Science Slam.
At Science Slam.
The Elimination Chamber. Right after Ice Dude just got done beating the hell out of each other, eliminating Manson. That was a great match to record, by the way.
Oh my god, it was great.
That was great. I mean, it took a couple times, but, it was great. Like, especially, like, the way, like, they're ganging up over Dynamite, and Ice Dude picks him up and, like, throws fucking Manson and gives him the Ice 5, pins him, eliminates him, turns right around, Dynamite gives him the sidewalk slam and fucking almost puts his ass away. And, that led to a great finish. Ice Dude losing the Manson after cashing in. That led to a good 1 month feud, I suppose. I mean, Manson got his ass handed to him by Ramirez Sanchez. But, he still had a good feud with Manson.
Yeah.
Ice Dude. Yeah.
Well, what did you think of Brock Manson's world title reign? And it was short, but...
It was short, but if you think about Manson, he really didn't do a lot with that title, but it was good for giving, Ice Dude a break or whatever. Because I think he needed that sabbatical, so it gave him a month to decide. And then it really, it also planted the seeds, really, for Manson's face turn, when he defected. Not when he defected. Yeah, when he just basically, like, fucking quit talking to Shane Walsh.
Now, do you think Brock Manson? Do you think his run as a heel, part of the Revolution, worked better? Or do you think his run as a face fight in the Revolution worked better?
Honestly, working for the Revolution, because it seemed like Manson was doing a lot more. I mean, don't get me wrong, him doing as a face run fighting the Revolution and doing the face run he's doing now is pretty badass. But if you think about it, there was a wrestler in WWE who started off as a fucking heel and was just as badass, and then it was like the perfect timing for a face turn, though. And it's not as good as it was when it first started. I can't fucking think. Oh god, Batista. Really, if I would compare it, really. Batista came in and was this badass fucking monster. Manson came in, was this badass fucking monster, had a shit face turn, fucking turned heel. Not his 2010 heel turn, his 2002 heel turn, or 3. Fucking destroying everybody. And it was just the right time because, like, the way they developed into, him just fucking hating taking these orders from Shane Walsh. And then just being drafted the Uprising really helped as well. But I like his heel turn better because he just seemed more monstrous. Because being a face, you have to really hold a lot of stuff back.
Oh yeah. Now, one thing that a lot of people who watch AWF will always remember from Brock Manson is during his... You know what I'm talking about.
You motherfucker.
In his feud with Shane Walsh, there is a promo, because Brock Manson, as we all know, gets very pissed off. And there's one point where you go, Shane, are you fucking kidding me?
I like that. Okay, this was during the Detroit Lions game against the Pittsburgh Steelers 2 years ago, where the Lions were just fucking up every 5 seconds. I was raging so hard in a Skype call with you, Carol, and AJ.
Mm-hmm.
And AJ sitting there calling me Cash Tista. And then you and Carol both went, hey, you should cut a Brock Manson promo right now. And I was like, I'll give you a fucking Manson promo, bitch. Oh, give me 5 seconds. And fucking, I left my mic unmuted and recorded it on Audacity.
Ew.
And then I sent the fucking video, I lowered the pitch, and it turns out when I yell and I lower the pitch, I sound like the Big Show. It's just, I don't know why.
It was just awesome. Because you were so pissed off about that, and then when you did, oh my god, I couldn't stop laughing. It was so funny.
No, the best part was when he called out Shane Walsh and told him to bring his old diaper-wearing geriatric ass down to the ring. You had to cut a promo right after that.
Yes, I did. Oh my god. And stuff like that. It's just...
I have a lot of times where I purposely try to make you laugh during my promos.
Yeah, yes you do.
Yeah, I did it during the promo with fucking for us leading up to People Power. When I was sitting there, you're fucking sitting on your fat ass eating your dipping sticks.
Oh my god, that was hard. I think if you listen closely, you might hear me chuckle.
Yeah.
You always try to get me to laugh, and a lot. Sometimes you get me to laugh.
I don't know, but like, there's a lot of people here cut these promos. It's really hard not to fucking crack a smile at them. I swear to God, watching y'all's promo imitate rap metal and not trying to laugh at Adam made me fucking weak.
Adam,
he's like, do you want to listen to it? My name's Brian, but okay. He's just like, what the fuck?
Adam's part was so improv, but it was so perfect.
Fucking Jay tried not to laugh during it too.
Oh my god, I love that promo. Now, for Brock Manson, currently Brock Manson he's #1 contender. He's going to be challenging for the AWF Championship. This is another... At King
of the Ring, right?
Yeah. Do you think another title run could be in Brock Manson's future? Do you think Brock Manson's got one more in him? Do you think he's got plenty more in him?
Brock Manson, the way I have him is Brock Manson. To anybody who's new to this, is an old fuck.
Yes.
I'll put that there. He's old. He's an old fart. He's 38, I believe. Matter of fact, his son in AWF is 21, so it makes sense. No, he's 39, my bad, because he had a son when he was 18. He's 39. He's about to be 40. He's got one title. I would like to see him win a title. I don't think it's the world title. He's got one more title run left in him, though. And he can do it, and he can take it as far as he can, but as long as he leaves a fucking mark. I mean, really, he's already left a mark with the fucking shit he's done. He's left a mark on people's faces.
Yeah.
But other than breaking people's teeth, he should break a record. But, I don't know. Have him eliminate 15 people in the fucking AWF Royal Rumble would be fucking awesome.
That would be
cool. Because that's just me blowing smoke out my ass. I believe he's got one title run left on him. I don't want to say I don't like his chances in going to the Royal Rumble, because whether it be Shawn Riley, fucking Danny Hardy, Big Dwayne. Any of those guys. It really depends, really, because I haven't seen Manson fight a lot of other people on the roster other than just the limited roster he had on Superstar Mayhem.
Mm-hmm.
So really, him on Uprising, he's got a lot of more chances to fight other people. Like, I'd love to see him versus Shawn Riley. I would love to see him fight Brent Thompson.
That would be
Hawkins. Fucking, well, he had a fight with Dynamite. Yeah. That's actually a great match. I love that. Actually, I commentated that match. I marked the fuck out when he did that bullhammer.
Yeah, That was all. I mean, Jesus, Dynamite got his
He
ass
knocked out
kicked, but
him and Don Martin got their ass kicked in like the last minute of the match.
yeah.
Hanson like came back like Super Brock and fucking destroyed him.
Oh, you know what was another great match? The match at Carnage was Brock Manson and Ian Morgan.
Oh yeah, that was a great ass match, and they had a good ass rematch too on Superstar on Uprising.
Yeah.
They had a good ass rematch. Both of those matches were great. Because they sit there and they play cards together and drink beer. I mean, they're bound to talk over some good match lingo.
That reminds me, because I forgot about that. The whole story behind why Brock Manson and Ian Morgan had a feud is just because when I did a cutscene on 2K14, I just needed 2 people in that spot, so I had them playing cards in the APA scene, and ever since then it's been an inside joke that they're friends behind the scenes. So, might as well bring it up.
Why not? They play cards together.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know. They played cards together.
And then I made it such a point, like, when like Ian Morgan would like say stuff to you backstage, he'd be saying how like, oh, he doesn't play cards anymore. And it was such like, it meant to be such a big blow. Like to most people, it's probably like, so what? He doesn't want to play cards anymore.
I don't play cards, Brock. I play video poker. It's all about that dice game, though.
It's the stupidest things lead to awesome stuff. It's hilarious. And then another thing is you also now voice Christopher Wonder, who now Christopher Wonder is my creation, but I really like that you voice him. I think you seem like just the perfect person to voice.
The reason why Christopher Wonder is voiced by me was an inside joke made by AJ fucking Young. At one point, when I was getting ready to train for the Indies, I was just cycling through wrestling names. I was cycling through a line of wrestling names that I would either come up with. Matter of fact, I proposed using Caleb Blair, and everyone laughed at me. So there you go. There's something to rib at. I know I like barbecue sauce on my ribs, by the way. Ones are like baby backed. Yeah. Fucking. Yeah. So I was literally like the list of names. I can name like 3 of them off the top of my head. One of them was Evan Rockville. Mm-hmm. The other one was going to be fucking Kevin. No, not that. Fucking. Who was I just talking about?
Christopher Wonder.
Fuck. I had a retard over there. Sorry about that. And then I got the one I'm using right now, Christian Ford. But when I was like, AJ, it'd be really cool if I came out as Christopher Wonder, wouldn't it? And matter of fact, I actually changed my Skype name at that point to Christopher Wonder.
Yeah.
And AJ started making fun of it. Oh, you needed a promo as someone to voice Wonder, and you were looking for voice actors. And AJ went, oh, have Cash do it. He's Christopher Wonder, remember? I was just like, fuck. And so I did the biggest bong load in the world, and I got in the other room, and I just cut a Christopher Wonder promo. And that's literally the story. And now I'm Christopher Wonder.
Yeah.
Which is good, because I liked Christopher Wonder ever since he debuted. Matter of fact, I'm the first person to ever predict that he was going to win the fucking Royal Rumble when he debuted.
Oh my god, yeah. You called it.
If you kept on going undefeated, I was like, he's going to win the fucking Rumble.
I brought him in, kept him undefeated. I protected him,
It wasn't even nowhere near the Rumble yet.
It wasn't even anywhere near the Rumble. He was still, like, beating tag team guys and mid-card guys. And you were like, oh, he's going to win the Rumble. And I knew that, and I'm like, you never know.
Well, I know that's what happened. He won the fucking Rumble.
All this time, you always find a way to like predict things. That's part of the reason why I make things. So I try to change things all the time now, just because I'm like, you know what, you might predict it. I'm like, I can't predict it.
I can't do this. Cash might predict it.
And
I did it in DIW.
Yeah, How do you know this stuff?
I don't know. The only time I never predicted something right in DIW was when Curtis Killings was revealed as the fucking person that ran over Diablo.
Okay, who the hell could have predicted that, though?
I don't know, man. No one gave a shit about Curtis Killings, that's why.
No one cared about whoever like, it is so simple, too. No one gave a damn who ran over Diablo, but Curtis...
Oh, except for Curtis Killings.
And then it turns out he was the guy who did it. Like, we're the idiots for not thinking about that.
Yeah, but if you think about it, he was a fucking idiot for doing that in the first place. Cause he was all like, that's like, I don't know, like you're in 18th century London and there's a werewolf coming around killing people and there has a town meeting and everyone's just like, oh, look, Bob died. Oh, what else is new? And then there's that one guy and you see him, he has like fucking blood on his lips. He goes, oh my god, somebody just died, guys. Jeez, I wonder who this werewolf is. There's a skit about that. That's where I got it from. But fucking, it's pretty much what it was. And I was like, oh my god. And it tried. He tried. No, he didn't. Fuck Curtis Killings.
Oh my god, I remember that swerve. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, that was fucking... The biggest swerves happen at the fucking Rumble matches. Every show we commentate a Rumble match, a swerve happens. Hold up 1 second. It's my phone. Sorry about that. That was my cell phone.
Alright.
Yeah, fuck Curtis Killings.
Yeah. Since you brought up swerves, this is just a question itself. What is the biggest swerve you've seen in Call?